Hello everybody, how are we doing tonight? Unfortunately, my webcam is not working, so I just have the lovely overhead camera tonight. So I'll keep troubleshooting that webcam. I might need to get a new one, but in any case, let's not let that slow us down and just keep on burning here. So great to have you all here tonight. Let me zip up to the top. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Everything looks good on my end as far as the audio. Okay. Cool. All right. Thanks, guys. Back to the top. Hi, Steve. Hi, Cynthia. Wow, Cynthia, it's 91 there already. That's amazing. We're in the 60s here, but the weather's going to come back in and get stormy again, unfortunately. But we need the moisture, so that's good too. Let's see. Hi, Night Owl. Hi, Lisa. So glad that you can join us again. Hi, Mina. Steve, we're doing well. Thank you. Hi, Angela. Glad to have you back as well. Hi, Estella. Hi, Vicky. Welcome, and so glad to have you here as well. Hi, Terry. Hello, Lori Lee. Hi, Mellow Yellow. Hi, Michael. Hello, Bob from Virginia. Welcome. And okay, cool. Sounds good. All right, I think I have everybody a little welcome there. So we can do a little recap as far as our project really quick. So we are working on this really dynamic wood burning, or this picture of a beach scene. So we have got rocky outcrop, chair, shadows, and then this lovely grove of palm trees over here. So looking at what we've worked on the last couple sessions, definitely have a great start to our rocks and our chair. We started putting in some of the grass, and then we were working last week especially on this little palm grove here. And when I left the live stream last week, I wanted to retouch this area and make it just a bit darker. You can see on the reference photo, everything is quite a bit darker. So that is going to be our focus right now, is get through kind of reburning this area here, darken all this up, and then start getting into the palm fronds back here as well. Because this project is quite dynamic, there's a lot going on. I'm trying to break things down into a little bit more manageable sections, really focusing on everything that's closest to the viewer is going to be much darker, and then things will get lighter and lighter as we recede into the distance. So definitely a bigger project here, and a lot of fun, but we're going to break it down into smaller, more manageable sections is the goal. And I also found my little pokey thing. It's an awl is what it is. Pokey thing, that's a technical term. And we can use this to kind of scratch out some of our highlights that are maybe getting lost in our palm fronds. So there is your recap for those of you that are just joining us for the first time. These little guys are really helpful for scratching out some highlights. If you happen to overburn an area, you can go back and scratch out some of the details with the pokey thing, also known as an awl. And anyway, so we can kind of work on that here a little bit. And first things first is I am going to jump back into this section here and try to push our darks a little bit darker, and then we'll follow up with darkening the midtones and moving up from there. Lori Lee has tornadoes. Oh my goodness. Those are very scary. Not good at all. So definitely stay safe out there. I am using the little Pro Point and just starting to go back through and really push those darks more. And then that'll give me some space to make everything in here a little bit darker. And I have kind of some wild foliage in here. So I'm focusing on some of the darkest sections first. And if I need to zoom in, please let me know if that would be helpful for everybody. Sounds like it's getting pretty toasty out there for everybody. Wow. Yeah, we've had some really nice weather intermixed with snowstorms. Just all of a sudden we wake up and it's snowing. So we had, oh gosh, like 5 to 6 inches of snow here just a few days ago, earlier this week, and then it melted off, and zooming is helpful. Okay, I will zoom. Stand by for zooming. Hi, Larry. I do not have a webcam tonight, so we are just making do. And we'll keep on working. How's that, guys? Is that a little bit better? Yeah, it's been just lovely up here. We finally have grass. Well, not grass yet, but we finally have bare ground. The snow is mostly gone. There's still some in the shadows, but we've been getting outside and enjoying the warm, dry weather and start working on our forest cleaning. We do a lot of fire mitigation in our surrounding areas, get, you know, the dead, lots of dead trees up off the ground and haul them over to a burn pile that we burn in usually early spring when there's still about 6 inches of snow on the ground and the ground's saturated, so there's no risk of a wildfire. And yeah, that's what we do. We gather good wood and turn it into firewood. We gather junk wood and throw it on the burn pile. So that's what we've been doing quite a bit this week. And we have, I think tomorrow is our last day, and then we go into a week of stormy weather. So we're trying to soak up as much time outside as we can, especially after having about 5 months of snow. We are very excited for spring. You're welcome, guys, on the Zoom. Hi, Michelle. We are working along here, trying to darken up the dark foliage before moving on to something else. Alrighty, and we have more foliage up here, which is a little hard to see. Hang on. Right, there we go. A little sideways, but I won't be there for long. Lisa, no, my husband is not sitting around eating bonbons in his retirement. He's out there helping me do the forest cleaning, which is a huge help. I mean, normally it takes me, all summer from spring until, oh gosh, mid-September to get stuff cleaned up and enough trees on the pile for firewood, because we provide firewood for our extended family, and it usually takes me all summer. And he's out there with the tractor. He's already, with his help, we've, oh my gosh, we're like 4 to 5 times beyond what I could have done by myself. So it's really, really nice. And so wonderful to have the help, because I usually just run like a little electric chainsaw, and I have a little utility vehicle that I pile sticks and debris in, and then I drag aspen trees out with it as well. But he has a tractor, so he's able to handle some of the bigger trees and just make everything go much faster. Cynthia is asking, what size piece of wood am I burning on? It's a good question. I forgot. So it is 11.5 by 8.5. Not including the edges there. Yep, no bonbons here. We are just busy. Who is messaging me? Okay. Okay. And let's make this area back here a bit darker too. Kind of push those back. Hold on, I have a cat that needs in. She's an old kitty. Come on. Did you get enough sun? Or are you ready to come in? Okay. Our elderly senior cat is now in. She likes to go sit out and sun herself on the porch. So much of this foliage in here is negative space burning, and I just want to really build up these values. We can also add some shading along some of these to where it looks like there's kind of a shadows underneath those. That all sounds great, comma, thank you so much, exclamation point. Sorry guys, one of my children is on a sleepover, and I just have to make sure that they are doing okay. Hi, Barbara. Night Owl is asking, do you ever burn the corner round to solid black? Like this part here? Sometimes I do. I like to do stippling. Is fun to do along this edge and do a stippled border. It makes it look very interesting. It takes a long time. It's kind of a pain, but it does turn out really neat. Okay, putting in some shadows, forcing our darks just a little bit darker here. And we have some in the background. So we're starting to push the all this plant matter back nicely. So now I would like to take some time to darken up the bushes. Lisa says, I love that you're taking the time to show how layering is the best way to build the scenery. Thanks. Yeah, definitely. This is a little bit more of a different technique than I've shown in the past. Usually I just kind of start jumping around and laying stuff in kind of like in sketch patterns, but this one is there's so much going on here that I really want to break it down and show you guys how to build each area so that it doesn't get overwhelming, and then you wind up having to reburn the whole thing, which I do a lot, is reburn the whole thing, but sometimes it's easier just to stay with a bite-sized piece and work it until you're happy with it, and then move on to the next bite-sized piece. I think that there will be a lot less fixing and adjusting towards the end. That's the goal anyway. So we are just going back through and making everything a bit darker here. Let's see. Hi, Desiree. Terry, I think everybody can hear me. Okay. Thanks, Desiree. Yeah, I think everything should be fine here on this end. This little palm frond here looks like he's having a bad hair day. But we'll just push him back into the shadows. Oh, come on. Vicky says, I have a Versa tool burner but have never used it. Normally burn with a coal wood, but I'm amazed and in awe with all the detail that you're getting with the solid tip. Cool, thanks. Yeah, this is just what I started with when I began burning a long time ago in, I think, 2009, and it's what I've used ever since. Right, wrong, good, bad, or ugly, it's just kind of what I've used. So I know I don't think I use this point the way it's designed to be used, but that's okay. It works for me, and if it helps other people too, that's awesome. But I encourage everybody to use the point that works best for you. In this case, I just need something that has a fine tip to where I can get some more of the finer details in here. And this big old flat point, I just rock it up and use the very tip of the edge, which can be quite sharp and give you some nice fine lines. So my stem here is a little bit of a mess, but I will continue to burn closer and closer to that fine stem, and it should get better here soon. Kind of like that. So that happens. That helps. Terry, glad that you reloaded your page and you can hear me. Awesome. So I'm still trying to get some more shadows, dark areas in between each palm frond. You don't have to put them in like each and every one. Just try to get the overall general feeling of them. And as we're adding more layers to the palm fronds, we are also adding more shading, which is going to help make this area just look a bit more natural. We can't have it be super bright because it's in the shadows. But I love that the Versa tool and the shading point, you can create really fine lines, or you can do soft shading with it, which is pretty cool. So it is very versatile. Okay, so we're starting to get a little more depth in our palm fronds here, these two as opposed to these where we have still a little bit brighter unburned areas. We're trying to shade more and make these plants kind of disappear into the background. Okay, sounds good. Please don't do any back flips or front flips. Thank you. Gotta take care of the kids. Keep them safe. Let's see. Vicky is asking, what temperature am I burning at? I generally work, I'm all tangled up, hold on. I generally work on the highest heat setting there. I do try to tape it down so it doesn't move. For the most part, for most of my burnings, I operate on the higher temperature setting. There are times where I drop it down to kind of where the orange meets the red, but that's only if I'm burning really fine areas like especially portraits where I need more control over skin tones in a small area. Then I'll turn the burner down more. But for the most part, I have it on high heat. And if I need to make quick adjustments, I'll just blow on the point to cool it down really quick, and then that seems to do the trick. So for negative space burning, why are we not focused? I just want to pull the darkness into the palm frond, and that helps to create the illusion of the item that we are creating, because you have to burn around objects when you're doing negative space burning. Just keep pulling up that darkness into the palm fronds, and then I'm going to add kind of just some general overall shading. I still want some highlights here at the top, but my palm fronds are just a little bit too bright. They're too light of a value, so we're going to darken them up. Another thing, Vicky, as far as your temperature goes, make sure that when you're running the Versatool or any solid point burner, that whatever outlet you're plugged into does not have another big power source, like not source, a power usage device. Like if you have a big computer or a fan or a heater that's also running off of the same circuit that you're using your Versatool or burner on, that can suck a lot of the power from your burner, and your burner won't get near as hot. So just a little something to kind of keep in mind. I generally try to keep my burner on its own little outlet and not have a bunch of heavy wattage devices on the same circuit as my burner, and that does seem to help. Another thing is if you're working outside and there's a breeze, this thing cools down really fast and it does not work very well. So when I do outdoor live burning demonstrations, I usually have to switch to a wire tip burner, and even then the wind makes it really unpredictable and I get grumpy because it doesn't burn very well. Oh, you guys are talking about moving. Oh, it is so much work. We moved about, oh gosh, 7 times in, 5 years? It was crazy. But we have settled and we are so glad to be whole where we are now. Okay, so just taking a step back, you can see this little palm frond guy down here. We've not worked on him yet. Look at the difference between this one that's really in your face and too bright versus the rest of these palm fronds and how they're kind of just gently receding into the shadows of the forest. It looks very, very cool and inviting back here. Someplace nice to kind of escape the heat of the beach. It just feels cool and damp back there. All right, so next let's do the same thing with this guy. And it's not the best angle, but hopefully I can make it work. Turn the wood and that'll make it so much easier. Which I might have to do anyway. We'll keep working on these trees. And you can see like down here, it's a little bit of a jumbled mess with the foliage. I'm not going to burn each and every blade of grass or twig. I'm just going to try to get the overall feeling that there is, you know, that there's plants and grass and stuff down here. And then we can bring some of the little bits that are growing into the sand. We can pull those down. You're very welcome, Vicky. Let's see, we have a rock here. And more tidbits growing into the sand. Terry says, I'm having issues now that my air conditioner blows too much and cools my burner. I've got to figure out another way to do my burning. Oh dear. Yeah, that's really, that air conditioning can really make it a challenge. It might be kind of a silly idea, but what if you had an umbrella kind of between you and the air conditioning unit just to kind of prevent the direct airflow? Is it the airflow or the temperature so much that's cooling down the point? Oh, Vivian, you've moved a whole bunch too. Oh, it's no fun at all. Although, then sometimes you stay in the same place for a long time and you just get stuff. We are overstuffed with stuff. It's crazy, especially with kids and toys and all the trips to the, you know, lift up Goodwill that have to happen. So here we have some rocks that I'm putting in place. We have shadows. And then a flat rock surface there. Kind of creating some trailing, sprawling little plants that sneak into the sand here. Okay, so back to the palm frond here. Hello. What? Would you take this phone call, please, from Cash?
Sure.
Thank you. Let's see what he needs. Thanks. And you can probably head that way.
Hola.
Okay. Let's see. Vivian is asking Terry if you can close the vent. Terry says it's the airflow. Yeah. That's going to be your next move, is to close the vent.
Let's get sliced. Colby Jack cheese sliced?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would be good if you could turn the blower to a different direction.
The deli sliced? That would be the better way to go. And what are those?
Alrighty, adding in some more shadows in here, just sneaking into our positive space.
The big wall, I guess would be the east wall. Cool, man. How's everything else going?
So we're still slowly making this palm frond blend into its natural environment. With a touch of a highlight on this side. Yeah, when we were kind of in between houses, we, as a family of 4, we lived in a spare bedroom of my mom's house, and the only place that I had room to do any burning was out in the garage. And in the winter time, there was no heat in there. It was so difficult to burn. Everything was just so cold. And I had a heater in there, but still it was very difficult. And then in the summertime, it was sweltering hot. So I totally understand the challenges of trying to get a good environment to burn in. So still bringing these shadows closer and closer to the stem. And then we want to make sure that some of our edges aren't quite perfect. We want, like up here, some chunks sneak in farther than the others and it looks irregular. So we don't want super irregular edges on here. Try to bring some in, leave some out. Okay. All right, well, overall, this is looking much better. It's still a little bit light versus our reference photo, but I think we have a pretty good start on that. And then we need to darken up our tree. And we'll start doing that as well. So just some little adjustments, making sure that everything is closer to our end value as we move forward. Adding some ridges in there. And then we have these nice dark ridges in here. I'm trying to put in. Just focusing on the darkest sections first, and then we'll blend in everything else. We hope you get your air conditioning sorted out, Terry. So you can see, like, the values that I'm putting in right now might look a little bit like, wow, that's too dark. But give it a minute and then we'll fill in the values around it and it should blend in pretty well. We are getting, seems like a little bit lighter as we go up towards the top of the tree. Terry says, funny you say that. We just had the air conditioning guy here for 3 days as it wasn't working properly. Oh dear. They changed out the thermostat. Now it's working. Well, that's good at least, because it's no fun to be too warm. Oh, and that's why it's blowing on your burner. Oh dear. Yeah, those fans can really kind of mess with you. Okay, I'm going to go back and we are going to build up, excuse me, some of our darker values over on this side and blend in what we already have. Vicky, you wish you had air conditioning. Yeah, we don't have air conditioning either. We just open the windows and hope for a breeze. Or open the windows at night and then close them in the morning. We just have to worry about bears coming in to and through the windows at night. It's kind of our biggest challenge. All right, so we're starting to develop some nice texture on this. Vicky, you're in Ohio. Very cool. Yeah, it can get toasty there. Terry moved from Florida to South Carolina. Yeah, no, we have the bears for sure. Not as many as we did a couple years ago, which is really nice. We had way too many bears. That's cool, guys. My husband, he's originally from Ohio as well, from the Solon area. We went back there. I went back with him one time just to visit right before we got married, and it's a really interesting area there. Trying to stay kind of in frame here, and then we'll scooch up and see the rest of the tree. Okay, so we have our darks and our dark mid-tones on that tree trunk, so we're going to scooch over. I do want to tone down this highlight of reflected light here on the back side. I like it, but it's a little bright, so we will shade it and make it not so light in value. Wow, very cool, guys. It is a small world indeed. Vivian, you've got gators, raccoons, Florida panthers, or snakes. Oh dear. Yeah, our pesky invaders are a little bit big. Okay, so we still have a little reflected light on the back side of that tree, but it's not as noticeable. It's more subtle. Okay, now we're going to try to pull some of our midtones over and blend it in. Mine spiders. Oh dear, Terry. I don't even know what that is, but does not sound good. we're just continuing this, the shading on around the trees. Oh dear. Oh, mines spiders. I gotcha. I'm like, wow, I've never heard of a mine spider before, but they sound really big. That's funny. Lori Lee, I'm right there with you. I would rather deal with a bear than a tick. I do not like ticks. Not good. Okay, so we have some nice blending on that tree. He's very textured and kind of chunky. There's not a whole lot of smooth shading in there. Now some of the highlights that come across the tree, we just need to tone those down a little bit. So they still are lighter than its surroundings, but it's follows more naturally with the light coming across the tree. And just tone it down. Okay, so now you can either leave this really, really bright highlight here on the one side of the tree, or I am just going to make it really, really soft shaded here, a light value, so it's not completely bright. Oof. Oh my gosh, Lori Lee, that's very scary. I've heard about that alpha-gal disease from ticks. That is very scary. Okay. So there we have kind of our nice textured, chunky palm tree. And this guy back here doesn't have a whole lot of texture. I'm not sure if he's a different tree, but I think I want to add some texture to it. So I'll just start putting in some little ridges. As we go on up the tree. And then if you wind up overburning the tree, you can always scratch out some details with a pokey thing. Thanks, guys. Oh, gotta make sure you guys can see. Oh, ouch, ouch, ouch. Thanks, guys. Yeah, we're getting some nice dimension to the tree. Like we've talked about in the past, a lot of times when we try to make a tree or something look rounded, we'll have shading on either side and lighter in the middle, but you can reverse that and make it darker in the middle and then lighter on each side, and it still works. It just depends on your light source. And let's see, kind of this area is really bright, so let's tone that down with just some back and forth shading. It can be textured and kind of random. Just make it look like there's a tree in the distance. And fill in that white void. Could you put my phone on the charger if it needs it, please? Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Some of our tree down here is not quite finished. Let me switch to a different point really quick and block that in, and then we will kind of pan out and take a bird's eye view as far as how we're doing. And we have some grass. Oh, sorry. You guys need to see, huh? Woof. There we go. And we can always add more layering to that grass. Layers are just so huge and very important when it comes to dealing with scenery, landscapes, anything like that. Lots of layers, but not so many that you kind of make it all turn to like the same value. So we still want some lights in there. Okay, so let's pan out really quick and take a look. I think I can zoom out. Yay! All right, let's refocus and take a nice bird's eye view. If I drop it. Okay, so we have kind of some crazy highlights there. Okay. Oh no. My lamp is attacking me. No. Oh, that's why. My whole desk needs to move. Okay. All right, thanks guys. Okay, so we next we need to carry on and finish up the top of the palm trees. And so we'll work on this area up here. Thanks, Cynthia. Thanks, Mina. Just put down a mirror and then we can see you. Haha. Oh, that might work. I don't think I have one though. Thanks, Lori Lee. Yeah, I like to just kind of keep adding more stuff there. So, all right, let us reposition, and we need to. I still need to work on that, but let's see what we have here. Okay. And I need to blow my nose. Okay. All right, break time's over. Back to work. Here we go. I think you guys said that you like the light right there. Okay. So let's finish up the top of Mr. Palm Tree here. Now that you can see where we're at. Thanks, Vivian. Yours look like a big blob. Oh dear. Yeah, the negative space, that's where it really is key to make the palm fronds look more natural. So if you're having a hard time with that, you might take a pointy thing and go back in there and try to scratch out some of the lighter areas of the fronds. Let's see. Just something like this, and you can pull out and highlight some of these areas. You kind of have to go over it a fair bit, but you can scratch those details out if you need to, which can be helpful. I've got the worst like dry tickle tonight. Okay. Thanks, Night Owl. Yeah, I think so too. The darkening that we did is a big step in the right direction. Did I make the all? No, I just bought it. It was, it says XL on it. So just a little tiny awl. You can get them at, I think, Walmart or anything like that. Cynthia says the palm tree looks ready to be climbed. That would be a sight to see. Larry is asking, the light source is coming from the right side. Yes, and it's actually, as you see on the shadow of the chair, it's a little bit backlit. So the sun is definitely coming from this area, and it's casting our shadows back down. All right, darkening up this side a little more, but still making sure we have our reflected light on the left side of the tree. And then we're going to pull over a little bit of our midtones. And tone down our highlights. And make these not so bright here as well. Okay, so that's a pretty good start to our tree. And then if you don't like your tree at the top, you can always like paint over it. I've done that in the past where you just have to paint over an area because it just did not turn out okay. Looking at trees are kind of dark next. You're not going to see quite as much texture on the trees that are in the distance just because they're farther away. And I'm going to add a little bit darker. Here we go. Terry is asking, would a stylus work like the awl? Probably not. The awl, it really kind of scratches into the wood quite a bit. You have to lift off that top couple layers of wood to expose the underneath areas that have not been burned. So I don't think a stylus would be aggressive enough to do that. You would want something like a sharp metal. Even like a small nail, like a hammer and nail, you could use that to pull out some highlights. Just something hard and sharp. Vicky is asking, am I running two Versatools with switching tips? Yes. I have a little piece of wood that I keep my burners on. Let me just show you that really quick. And come with me here for a minute across my desk. There it is. So I have actually 3 burners that are set up. I have nails in place so that they don't move. So I'll work with up to 3 burners at a time. That way I don't have to switch points. because the Versatula takes a while for it to warm up and cool down, and you don't want to switch out points with the burner hot because you can damage both the point and the tool. And that way, whenever I need to switch back and forth, everything's ready to go. Oh, that stylus. Okay, I see what you mean, Terry. You made a stylus out of a sewing machine needle. Yes, that's fine. Stylus, I thought you meant like that little thing that you use on your cell phone. Or like a little pen, a stylus pen is what I thought you meant. But yes, that would work just fine. Okay. Okay, I kind of lost that tree down here. Oh, my camera's all wonky. Sorry, guys. You're welcome, Vicky. Okay, what do we have? We got all kinds of little tree trunks going crazy back here. Okay. All right, and we are going to come back down here and start working on this one. So this has lots of little, almost kind of parenthesis ridges to it. Okay. And then once again, we're going to focus on our shading kind of in the center of the tree. This guy I don't want as dark as that one, and hopefully I am doing okay with that. That tree looks like Morse code, but we will try to fix that. And tone it down a little. We'll also pull some of the shading over to make it look more irregular. I'm trying, Terry. Trying to make it not look like Morse code. Just break it up a little bit more. Okay. Steve is asking, when I'm using one burner, do either of the other two get jealous? Probably not. They haven't said anything. I think they're fine. So pulling a little bit more shading around to make our tree more rounded. All right, there we go. We're starting to lose some of that Morse code in our palm tree. Okay. That is better. Okay, so we still have a little bit of texture on that one. Not sure how much we'll need to do to modify that, but I think we're doing okay. Another thing that I'd like to do really quick is let's darken up the shadow behind the chair just a wee bit. It seems a little bit light. So I think this will help everything. And we also have some sticks and rocks and stuff in the shadows. Okay, I like that. Cool, cool. All right, back to the top of the trees. Try to get it to where you can see everything that we're working on there. And my camera's not working. Okay, there we go. Okay. So to make things go faster, I am going to switch over to the Pro Point and start blocking in some of our darker areas here in the trees. I think I just got some dust in my lungs is why I'm got a little bit of a cough tonight. Okay. Just trying to see where to start. Yes, this is the little Pro Point that I made.
I'm gonna go back to the woods and I'll see you at 8.
Okay.
I'm gonna take your bucket.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, love ya. So the values here are still a little bit light, but this is more of our sketching phase. It helps with layering and allows me to kind of start getting the feel, the overall shape and everything kind of defined before I start putting down big chunks of darker values. So like down in here, burning around these palm fronds, that was negative space burning. Right in here with these darker guys, this is positive space burning. So we are definitely burning the palm fronds instead of burning around them here. So just shows you a little bit of the difference between positive burning and negative space burning. That's a good one, Larry. The burners that are not being used burn with jealousy. That's very good. Thank you, Mina, for the reminder. Yeah, to like and subscribe and join us if you haven't already over on our Mighty Networks community. There's lots of great information over there. You get access to the past live streams depending on the, what plan you pick and what skill level that you're at. All the past live streams are sorted by skill level, so it makes it easier if you're just in the market for more beginner-based projects. You can find those if you are at the beginner level, or like so many of you are fantastic supporters and you choose the diamond plan. the diamond plan gets you access to all of the past live streams, regardless of skill level. So that's pretty darn cool. Thank you, Mina, for that link to our Mighty Networks platform. So in this sketching phase, I'm going to decide which branches I want to push back with dark values, which ones I want to pull forward with lighter values, and just overall start into this big mess of palm frond leaves without getting too overwhelmed, because it can be overwhelming. All right, so this guy up here, we do have a little bit more of burning around the negative space area. But if we just start out really kind of nice and slow and cautious here, and slowly start sketching in these, I think we'll be just fine. Lisa says, what do you call a nosy pepper? Huh, a nosy pepper. I don't know. Jalapeno all up in your business. Oh, that's very good. Okay. I need to scooch this over just a little bit. This is not the best position for my hand, but let me move this and we'll see. And if you weren't here last week, my kitties were walking on the reference photo with wet feet, so they left their mark on my project. At least they didn't walk on the wood burning. I tend to store those kind of away from access. So right now I'm blocking in the general direction of these leaves, trying to get some layering down. This is very similar to fir, just in the fact that we have lots of kind of multi-directional strands. Okay, let's see, we have, oh, I just can't get in that position there. Not sure that I even like that one up there. I'm gonna stop. I don't like him very well. I might do something different with that one. Okay, so back to our next layer where I want to start going a little bit slower and start building up our values in these areas. The darker areas need that nice, slow, methodical, controlled areas here. So if I go really fast, my burner is light. So to put down that heavier value, I need to move slower. Still following just kind of a back and forth motion, really trying to keep some of the unburned wood in there for our highlights. Now, my palm fronds are a little bit more wispy and dainty than the reference photo right now, but that's okay. I can always make them chunkier later. So we have kind of some dark areas in here where we burn around some palm fronds. Larry, you're doing a bike riding event tomorrow. Awesome. A 20-mile bike ride. That is fantastic. Very cool. Okay, so hopefully you can start to see a little bit through the ugly ducklings section here and see where we're starting to push some of these areas back with our darks. That's great, Larry. Boy, my wrist is not happy. I've been gathering and forest cleaning for a while and lifting some heavy items, and I've not been burning for very much, so this is kind of a different thing for my wrist here. But we will just keep on trucking here. Okay. Alrighty. So we have some dark areas kind of peeking underneath this frond. Well, you guys are awesome. I love all the physical activity that you're doing with bikes and jogging. That's all fantastic. Okay. I've looked into those recumbent bikes. They look pretty interesting. How does it feel like on your neck to be in that position? Because you kind of have to have your neck maybe kind of arched forward. That would be my only issue with those recumbent bikes, would be the neck position. After my neck injury, I can't look down or up very well. You've wondered about the same thing, Terry, yeah. I guess maybe if they have a headrest, that might be helpful. But just to like hold my neck in an upward position would be a bit of a challenge. Mellow yellow. Yeah, we is so fun. I wish that they still made those. Our controllers are dying and it's hard to find good ones to replace them with. Putting some shadows kind of underneath these palm fronds. Ah, Terry, I understand that. Yeah, those neck injuries are not fun. Oh, okay, cool, Larry. Yours doesn't make you hurt your neck. That's nice. Cynthia likes toning cords and a pedal bike. Cool. So it seems to me like the areas where we need shading for these palm fronds are kind of underneath here, and then just right a little bit right along the top of the stem, where the stem curves over. So I'm going to try to add those in as well. Oh, Night Owl, you finished your fish picture. That turned out awesome. Yeah, pine wood is so tough to burn on. Okay, so a little ridge of shading at the top near the spine. And then more shading down here at the bottom. Okay, well, we're getting there, guys. I think after we get the foliage done, everything else should go so much easier. This is definitely one of the more challenging parts of the project, I think. Foliage has so many different layers and textures that it can really be the more challenging part. Vivian, yes, physical therapy does count as exercise. For sure. Okay, let's kind of clean up this edge there. And we need more of a highlighty thing up here. Oh, okay. Let's see. I am going to stretch my legs for just a brief minute, And we'll kind of zoom out and recap here really quick. Oh, I gotta shake out my hands. I'll be right back. Oh. Okay. All right, so our palm trees are coming along pretty darn well. I'm kind of getting a little bit burnt out, no pun intended, on the foliage that we've been after for like almost an hour and a half. Sometimes I get a little bit overloaded with a certain area and I need to break it up. Like that basket, I still need to finish our Easter basket that we were working on. So, for my mental sanity, I think we're going to switch over and take a look at something else here. I think I would like to, let's start sketching in some of the rocks here. That's one of our next darkest areas. These palm trees are coming along pretty well, but it's going to be like multiple layers of what we've already done to get these to where they need to go. And that position is kind of not very happy with my hand. So let's switch it up and start sketching in some of the rocks really quick, and then we can circle back to our foliage later. I need a break from the trees. So let's see, where am I? So that you guys can see. Not sure what that was. I might have to just fold you in half. All right, I'm gonna fold you. All right, and then we'll scooch over to where you guys can see everything. Actually, we'll do it this way. All right. Nope, I need more tape. All right, we'll get it, guys. Welcome to live art class. Okay, so I can see in here. And let's adjust our camera. Okay, here we go. Alrighty. Thanks, guys. Yeah, Nido, I'm right there with you. I'm excited to start the waves too. Those will be a little bit later. And we'll just keep moving on. Sounds like a song. I need a break from the trees. Yeah, pretty much, Mina. I'm right there. Thanks, Lisa. Glad that you can watch and learn. You know, I try to sometimes break it up into bite-sized sections, and other times I jump around. So right now I'm going to jump around. Now, anytime that we have water around a rock, we want a little bit of a kind of a water line underneath. So I'm going to put in our shadow here. More of a shadow. And then up above, we have the actual rock. And there'll be a little, oh my gosh, I need to zoom in. A little tiny spot in the middle there. So you guys can't hardly see what I'm doing. All right, I'll try to keep it in that area. See, Larry, you like the way that I manage the burning, switching when I need to. Thanks. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, okay, this area is not done yet. I have to fix it. Other times yeah, I'm toast. I'm burnt out. Got to do something else for a little bit. Lori Lee, thanks. Yeah, absolutely. Listen to your body, and when you've had enough of working a certain area, instead of just calling it quits and giving up, or hitting a kind of like a writer's block, it's like, man, I really don't want to work on that section. I know I probably need to, but I don't want to. Just move to a different area, kind of get your mojo back, as you say, and just keep moving forward somewhere in the project. Yeah, I'm not not a machine. I gotta break things up here. Are we focused on? Okay. Sorry, my hands are a little bit of a wreck. I've been wearing gloves for the past couple weeks. Leather gloves just dry out my hands, and I actually had my very first pedicure in my life, and that was from my daughter. My hands were so destroyed from working in gloves that I broke down and had her help me with my hands. So here we have a little bit of a reflection in the wet sand. Try to keep this irregular. The reflections often mirror the values above them. So if there's a dark section right here, then you're going to notice that a lot of times the reflection in the sand, the wet sand, is going to match kind of that same darkness. Where you have lighter areas, keep those light. But generally, whatever is reflected will be just right underneath. Yeah, the reflection will be right underneath what is reflected. Hopefully that makes sense. We have a rock. Rocks are so fun because if your rock doesn't look exactly like the one in the picture, nobody is going to know. You can make your rocks whatever shape that you want. Just try to, try to match your light source as best you can. And I don't like that rock there, so I'm going to change it up and I'm going to move it. I like that better. Okay, so again we have, here's the base of our rock, a little bit of a gap, a light section underneath, and then you can do shadows. Reflections. So this, what I'm doing now is kind of like a mental refresher. It's like I've just had a big old power nap and I'm good to go. I'm feeling recharged and excited for the next part of the burning instead of, oh my gosh, more palm fronds. Rocks generally have a lot of fun texture, so don't worry about your smooth shading. And I'm going to bring some of that texture up on top of this rock. Okay. And just like we've done with everything else, go ahead and block it in, and then you can go back and, spend some time darkening up some sections. Readjusting your values as needed. And here comes some reflections in the water and the wet sand. Thanks, Cynthia. Okay. So there's a good start to those. What is that? There's another thing out there. Looks kind of like an alligator. Okay, let's see. This comes down here. So this is right up here. But this is a no alligator beach, so we'll make it a rock. With a gap underneath for that water line, and then a little bit of a reflection. Okay. It's a palm frond that fell in the water. There you go. Terry says, no matter how many times I watch you burn, it amazes me how you can go so light with the burner. Thanks. Yeah, just kind of move it real quick and a light touch, and that helps. I remember, you know, my dad's an oil painting artist, and he had a friend that was also an artist, and his, my dad's friend would always say stuff like, you know, when you put down paint with a paintbrush, you know, you gotta put a big old blob down there and make it look like each brush stroke is deliberate. And he said, don't tickle the wood with the paintbrush. And I always thought that was funny, because that's what I like to do, is like more of the tickling of the wood with the paintbrush, because I like to smooth and blend and try to make things look as realistic as possible. But he liked a more painterly style. So you could say with these lighter values that we're tickling the surface of the wood here with the burner. Yeah, Night Owl. This is at full heat, full power. But if you just barely touch the surface of the wood, it helps to get a nice lighter value. So let's come over here. Working on those, the darks first, and then some of the other areas. Now keep in mind that each layer of rocks as we go farther into the distance should get a little bit lighter because they're going farther into the distance. So these are still kind of sketch marks. I don't have, I still need to correct the values on the rocks. That one looks like an iguana. Wow. Iguana rock. So I will adjust the values of the rocks later, but for the most part, I want them to get lighter as they recede into the distance. Now, it's hard to make stuff go lighter, so we want to sketch, and then we'll darken up the ones in the foreground and leave the ones in the background lighter. Hopefully that makes sense. But I really have to remind myself not to go quite so dark on the ones in the background. Okay. Yeah, tickling the wood. Exactly, guys. So that's when the wiggle worm technique can also be kind of a similar sense of just lightly, delicately burning the wood or tickling the wood there. Okay. So let's take a look at, try to get you guys in the right spot. We're going to go back in here. Okay. Rock. And there's our shadow of rock. Now this one's in the sand, so it doesn't really, it's in the dry sand, it does not have a reflection. Now is when I might want to start turning the burner down to work in some of these really fine areas. But for the most part, I'm going to try to match the big chunks of dark areas. All right, I think I will. I'm going to turn the burner down. Come on, tape. Kind of halfway between the orange and the red. Because in certain areas like this, it is going to be more difficult to maintain a lighter value in these tight areas. Overall, I think the value will be just fine, and we might actually darken this up as we get everything else in there. But when you burn a dark value against the unburned wood, it looks just too dark. And then the sea spray is a whole different cat, because that's the, again, our unburned wood. So I'm going to kind of burn way around that sea spray, and then we'll close in on it later. That sea spray might be a good excuse to use some white acrylic paint on the project. Sea spray, kind of like whiskers. Yeah, we'll want to burn around them and then slowly get closer and closer. But again, this is just a lot of that sketching phase where we just start building an area. Doesn't have to be perfect. We just have to kind of start. Just find a place to start. I think that is the most difficult thing with burning a complicated subject is, where do I start? It can be overwhelming as far as, I don't know how to do this, where do I even start? And I have dealt with that so many times with you guys here on the live stream, where we dive into this project and I find an area, it's like, wow, I'm not sure how to actually go about this. But if I just start and start the sketching and get something down on the wood, then we'll just keep adding on to it and hopefully it'll all turn out. So that's kind of my go-to for where to start. Just start someplace. Start light if you need to, but just start. Get something down for you to build off of later. Does not have to be perfect. Okay. Then you take a step back, you kind of blur your eyes, and it might slowly start to look like rocks. Lisa agrees, white paint it is. Yeah, white paint will be so much easier to do than burning. I will try to burn around it, and then we can always accentuate it with white paint later. Night Owl says, I love the discovery and burning something new. Absolutely, yeah. There's so much that you can learn, and just realizing that you can dive into a project that may be over your head and, just kind of fight your way through and learn a lot along the way is pretty darn cool. All right, so our main thing right now is to not make the rocks look like a blob. So focusing on those darker areas. All right, now taking a look at the big picture based on what I have and the reference photo, I do want to darken up some of these areas a bit more. Okay. And a few more places here, trying to just get that value a little bit closer before we start adding more of the details. So I know that this area in here is quite a bit darker because that palm tree really wants to pull forward. So that gives me the freedom and almost the permission to, yep, I'm on the right track. Let's push this stuff a bit darker. Okay, so now I'm going to try to start filling in some of our fine details here. Some cracks, crevices. Looks like there's a tumbleweed up there. Not sure that there's tumbleweeds in the ocean, but Terry says, looks like the Cheeto cat face in the rock. Huh. I'm not sure that I see that one. But it is so funny how we see all kinds of different stuff in here. Vivian thinks that there's a beached boat close to that area. Absolutely. I think that'd be really cool. And that's stuff that you could add in on your own if you wanted to. You see a Cheeto cat too, Night Owl? It's so funny. I don't think that I see a Cheeto cat in there. If you imagine like somebody laying on their back, it's like this is the nose here. They're looking up at the sky. And that's like their chin, and they have a mustache. Here's the mustache. You see a turtle on a log. Oh, it's so fun. There's a word for that, and I don't know what it is, or can't remember what it is, where you see faces and stuff in everyday things that aren't supposed to have faces. Maybe one of you guys know which, what that term is. So I am kind of bouncing around from place to place on this rock, but I'm really trying to focus on, you know, darks, and then you've got your hard edges and soft edges. Like right here we have a nice hard edge that comes down. There's also, where did that go? Kind of a hard edge in here. So to get the definition and to keep things from looking like a blob, really pay attention to your hard edges and your soft edges. hard edges create that definition and separates one form from another. The softer edges can make things look more rounded and kind of curved or blended. Yeah. That might be it, Vivian. I can't even pronounce that one, but yeah. Yeah, when you see recognizable shapes. Like, yeah, turtles and clouds and all kinds of stuff like that. Okay, so I really love, this is one of my favorite parts here, is kind of the wet look of the beach. So I'm going to start to put in a little bit of that. It's like the water came in and wet the sand, and then it went back out, and you just see the wet sand. I think it's really, really cool. And this doesn't have to be exact either, just kind of stuff on there. Play around with where it is, and then for your reflections you can add just some little horizontal shading to help with that wet reflection look. Yeah, I think you're pretty close, Vivian. Yeah. Yes, Larry, like the water receding, exactly. If I get stuff on there. Let me come around here on the little water's edge, like that little, it's like shadow for the foam right there. So I'm just kind of going everywhere right now just because it's fun. Okay, and then somebody was talking about excitement to see the waves. We have just a few minutes left here, so I am going to work on the waves because it's fun. Once again, I'm going to start with my darkest areas first. Lightly sketching. Remember, my burner is turned down, which is a big help when working with such tiny little areas. Definitely turn that burner down to where you can handle it easily. Oh, goodness. Sorry, guys. Night Owl, you once saw Abraham Lincoln from a penny in tree leaves. Oh, that's so cool. It's just really neat. Oh, I'm on the waves. So light sketching. I probably should have sanded in this area before I started burning because some of my guidelines are a little bit dark, but I didn't, so oh well. These are all really light sketch marks in here, what I like to call sketch marks, so we can build off of this later and make it nice and full and rich with all kinds of different values. Let's see, we have, yeah, you guys can still see. But I mean, all of this sand down here needs some sort of light shading. So we have quite a bit more values to add in, but this is a really good start. So that's looking pretty good. We can even, I do want to sand back there because I haven't yet. 2500. Just you lightly sand off some of these guidelines here. You can't really erase graphite, so sanding seems to be the best option. Mina, you like how helpful sketching can be. Awesome. Yeah, I think it really takes away a whole lot of like almost fear of getting started. And just start somehow, some way. Where am I? I've lost my spot. Okay, there's a highlight. There's that. Okay, here's this. And here is rock. Oh, that's rock right there. And the other neat thing is with the sketching, if you make something like in the wrong area, it should be light enough to where that you can fix it later and you won't see it. But if you just start in with a heavy hand and just burn really dark, you know, dark lines, dark edges, indent the wood, you might have a problem later on because you can't really fix or adjust very well. That's kind of my take on that. And we can also go back in and kind of scratch out some of this misty stuff here too. The water spray, sea spray. But we still want to try to see some of the formation of the rock behind the sea spray. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Cynthia. Oh, that's a great question, Terry. Isn't this Monday the beginner live stream? Yes, it is. Thank you for that reminder. Yeah. I will get a project together for the next beginner live stream on Monday. I'm still coaching softball. I don't think that I have anything going on Monday. I don't have the new schedule out for the month of May for our practices. If something changes and I cannot do that beginner live stream, I will be sure to send out a notification. Yes, Larry, absolutely. You can always make an area darker, but you can't make a dark burn lighter. Generally not without, you know, sanding or doing something a little bit more aggressive. Thanks, Night Owl. Yeah, we'll just kind of keep going and make small little adjustments here in these tiny areas. I would not want to do a burning with this much detail very smaller than 11.5 by 8.5. This seems to be a pretty good size. And sometimes kind of squinting your eyes can help to look for the darks and the lights. I need some shadows behind these rocks here. So next up, I'm going to add just a little light shading over the top to make the rocks look a little more finished. Because they're not going to be pure unburned wood value. They're not going to be that light. Okay, so we're starting to get a little more structure down there in our kind of the mid-ground of the project. And we can do little wispy trails here. And I think I need to come around more on this one. Alrighty guys, well, let's take a little bird's eye view and see how it's coming along and what we will work on next week. Okay, so I'm zoomed out about as far as I can without doing something crazy with my... There's something crazy. Bear with me, guys. Okay, most of it we can see. Alrighty. Mina, yes, time did fly by tonight. Thanks so much, Terry, for being here. We have just more off to a great start. Just keep adding in more information. Probably next week we'll dive back into the tree section here. I'll really try to push that and get that more finalized. And then we'll continue working on this section here of the ocean and try to get, I think I want to shade a little bit more here in the foreground and make those sands a little darker. And that is our plan for next week. So I'll let you know if there's a live stream or not on Monday. If I have one scheduled on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed so that you can get those notifications when I go live. Yeah, if I schedule one, we will. And if not, I won't be able to do it. So hopeful that we'll do that beginner live stream. And if you are on our Mighty Networks paid platform, I will be in touch with you guys and let you know there as well, one way or the other. So awesome. Thanks so much, guys, for being here. I really appreciate it. This is a fun project. So much going on, but we'll continue to take those nice little bite-sized pieces and have fun along the way. Awesome. Thanks so much, guys, and have a great weekend. Bye.